how to interact with Anaconda. There's two main ways that you can use to interact with the Anaconda distribution. The first one would be to use the provided Anaconda Navigator, and the second method would be to use your command line or to use your terminal, depending on whether you're using Windows or macOS and Linux. My recommended approach would be to use the command line, and that will be the method that I'll show you. But if you want, you could also look into the Anaconda Navigator, although I would not recommend to open up a Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab using the Anaconda Navigator, because you're generally better off doing that using the command line. Now, if you want to get detailed instructions, specifically if you're using macOS or Linux, then I recommend you to go to docs.anaconda.com/anaconda/user-guide/getting started. The URL is on the screen. Now, these instructions are slightly different depending on the operating system that you're using. I am using Windows, so that's what I will demonstrate. But conceptually, these steps are identical if you're on macOS or on Linux. Make sure to check out that page if you're using any of those operating systems. Now, the best way to open up the command line is to use a tool that is called the Anaconda Prompt. And the way that you can find the Anaconda Prompt is by opening up your taskbar by clicking the Start button, which is outside of the recorded screen, and then you just type Anaconda Prompt, as written in the text pad here. You will then see a variety of different options, and you just pick Anaconda Prompt. If you're using macOS or Linux, then you do not need to do this step, and all you need to do is just open up a terminal window and follow along as instructed. Now, if you open up the Anaconda Prompt, you will see a command line interface, and this is the primary way with which you will interact with any of the Anaconda or Conda functions. For example, if we would like to install a particular package, or if we would like to open up Python, then we would open up the command line or the command prompt if we're using Windows, or the terminal if you're using macOS or Linux, and then you can type Python, and this will now give you an interactive way of running Python code. This is not how you're going to execute most of your Python code. You're either doing that using Python files or using Jupyter Notebooks or Jupyter Lab. But this is a good way to make sure that you're running the right installation, and it's a nice way to quickly debug whether certain packages or something is working. So if you do this, you open up the Anaconda Prompt or the terminal, you type in Python. If everything went well, what you should see is something along these lines, where it should say the Python version. In my case, it says Python 3.7.6, and it should say Anaconda somewhere in this initial blurb. And that what you can do is you can type some basic Python code, for example, a print statement, press enter, and then if that doesn't throw any errors, then everything should be working just fine. You can quit out of this interactive window by typing exit with parentheses. There's no spaces here, and you just click enter. And now you go back into your command line or terminal window, and you can run any other commands, such as, for example, conda or pip.